Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Advancement Center. Thank you for bringing your world of magic and miracles to join with ours up here on the elevated platform of living, where we are remembering our origin and recognizing each other as family. From here, we can truly see forever in every direction. We see you in Belgium, UK, Scotland, Germany, Costa Rica, and Alameda. So everywhere. But we look in every direction without judgment, logic, or thought. In fact, on Friday, David read his writing called The Language of Magic and Miracles. Before I share this with you, I am recalling the exact time and location when Robert Young first told a group of enthralled listeners on our first invitational tour to California from Australia in 2011. Robert said that we all were actually living in a world of magic and miracles. You could have heard a pin drop. And I looked around the room and watched as this new concept, new, mind you, was left floating. That was 8 years ago. Magic and miracles till then had only been in the realm of Disney, who had captured and monopolized our children's imagination. Now, just as Robert had spoken, magic and miracles has become all-pervasive in our daily existence because of its intrinsic value to us all and to those who want to gain our attention and sales. So now I'm going to read The New Language of Magic and Miracles by David Best. How could you begin to learn a new language? The best way would be to immerse yourself into a place where only the language was spoken, and you would have no choice but to learn it to survive. Obviously, when you are a young child, it is easier to learn and speak multiple languages because you're able to thrive in the immersion process due to the fact that you have fewer inhibitions. The language of magic and miracles is the new language that will be spoken by everyone as we continue to move forward. We've all been trained in the language of knowledge and in the language of fear. Whenever we can see documented proof of something via the language of knowledge, we are embedded with a false level of trust, and we easily begin to hear and speak that language. A big part of the language of knowledge is used in the field of medicine, where diagnoses easily roll off the tongue and are believed. Everything that causes us some form of suffering in this limited physical dimension is accompanied with the biggest question ever created. Why? When we ask why, we get all the answers from the language of knowledge, reason, logic, and law. This is called the language of fear and control, and it is the language of the prison wardens and guards that are used to occupy all humanity. This language is designed to still your power and keep you from remembering who you are. Your question, why, is diagnosed and given a remedy based on fear, and therefore you are compelled to toe the company line and believe and accept everything that is given to you. We have been programmed to believe that knowledge is truth and that intuition and magic are a lie. That what you can see, feel, taste, touch, and prove are fact. And what you can know without proof is fiction. But starting with you, each and every one of you, one person at a time, the language of magic and miracles will be spoken in every house, in every office, in every boardroom, and in every school, so that the next generation of humanity will eliminate the question, why, and replace it with the answer, why not? Why not magic? And why not miracles? And all the languages that have been used to create control and fear will fall away, one miracle at a time. And we will be immersed in a field of freedom that is created by the power and truth of the new language of magic and miracles. And with courage as our companion, let us scream it from the rooftops. The world of magic and miracles and the language of magic and miracles are here to stay. Thank you, David. Those are very important words. It's important. Now, let me see where I am. I have a feeling that Mr. Wind just took everything. Okay. Bear with me. I'll be right with you. So when Robert was talking to that enthralled audience up in Petaluma, that was 8 years ago. Magic and miracles till then had only been, I said that, didn't I? Okay. But more importantly, the interaction of everyone at a level where spirit is recognized and trust is infinite, and we all remember our origin and the gifts we brought with us to share in the world, is held as the highest communication and the language of the industry of magic and miracles. From here, the industry will define itself and will grow at lightning speed as it is shown and presented to the world by each one of us. That's us. I am so honored that Robert is joining me today, and I'm compelled to share that my research last night revealed that his YouTubes have been viewed over 200,000 times, and all have been made free to the public by Robert. There are 2 channels, YouTube's Robert Young and the Advancement Center channel. I know that many of you have discovered Robert by happening upon a YouTube that spoke to your knowingness that there was more than you were experiencing. I just enjoyed Robert's YouTube entitled, You Are the Answer. Now, I remember sitting there in the open secret bookstore in Marin County. I remember every word, but last night when I read it, it was deeper, more important, and I even said to Genya, you must read this, because I don't think there's anyone who won't get this, because he does prove to each and every person sitting there, you are the answer. You have the password to your own true identity. So, if you have a chance, see if you can find it. And Robert and I are creating a YouTube right now that will be available on the Advancement Center website. Now it is my pleasure, joy, and honor to greet Robert as he joins us. Hi.
Hello.
We're both in blue.
Yeah. So the wind is a little.
Oh, it just scattered everything all over the place.
Well done. Must have been my turn. So I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but you've opened it up with magic and miracles. So we'll keep going.
Okay.
There's more to magic and miracles than we can ever know. And the basic inference that we've had over the years is growing into something different. It used to be considered something freaky, something that nobody could touch. And it was a fantasy, of course. And now that's changing. And the inference is quite different, in as much as to those who are not familiar with really looking at magic and miracles, it's not scary anymore.
No.
To those who are really into it, if you like, it's far from scary, and it's extremely exciting. But behind it all, there are features that we haven't even looked at. The way we interact with that unknown force is up to us. It's not a responsibility, but it makes life much easier. If you can see that there's a magic interface between you and everything else. And that extends way past what the brain can speak about, way past the imagination, and into areas that only each individual knows. So you can climb out of your body if you want to. You can put magic in that interface between you and your feet so you don't get burnt walking on coals, hot coals. You can put it around you to stay warm. You can put it around you so you feel comfortable. You can be comfortable even though you're supposed to be in pain. You can actually determine where the magic has to be without determining how it works. And so in your everyday life, you can step into that magic field and see where it takes you. Instead of warding off things, our habit has been, don't let that touch me. Don't let this touch me. I've got to protect against that.
Yeah.
That's the outside walls of an immense world that has nothing that will touch you. So instead of leaning up against the wall that says, I'll hold that back and I'll get rid of this and I'll drain that and I'll make sure this doesn't touch me, you just step straight out into nowhere where none of that actually exists. And the magic that happens turns your life into a total miracle. And you talk about walking on water, you're walking in less than water. You're walking in mid-air, even though you're struggling up the street. You wake up in the middle of the night and you don't even feel your own weight. You go to move, you don't bother about telling your body what to do. You move that part of you that has its own interface that tells the body what to do. And so you start to become an expert at simplicity, an expert at making things easier than you can even imagine, an expert at seeing what's going on around you and saying, well, that's like looking at the mountains. It's a great view, but you're not standing on the mountain and you're not climbing up the mountain and you're not bashing your way through the forest. You're standing in a peaceful place with a beautiful view and a beautiful feeling. And you can do that no matter where you are, no matter what's around you, or no matter what's attacking you, because it will disappear. It sometimes takes that extra breath to step so far out into nowhere that you're unfamiliar. But in that extra breath is a lifetime. This is a life that you brought with you. And it exists in everything and around everything. And it's not brought together by anything. It's in everything, just like you are. You're everywhere. You're able to focus on anything in a fraction of a second just by me stating the name. So if I say you're looking down on the Alps, you're looking down on the Alps. You're in a plane, you're on a train, you're in your friend's place. It's all instant. And immediately I do that, that field builds around you that says, okay, I'm here, I'll do whatever you want. That's a field of active energies that belong to you. And there's no process required to bring it forward. The simplest of all things gives you the greatest excitement. And a little bit of mischief, like what would happen if I put a magical field between me and the town? What would happen if I just put it between me and the animals? Or the wind? Would it talk to me? And the answer is most certainly. So in your magic and miracles, it's very essential to see how it grows and expands every second in everybody's life. Like you look at a flower and you're impressed, but you don't look at the flower the same way every time. Sometimes you look at the flower and you wonder how it could become so perfect. Other times you look at a flower and you say, wonder where that smell is coming from. And you can go into science and discover all sorts of things about the flower, but you can't discover where it came from, how its energy is developed, how it affects everybody, because you already know. And we're part of a growing force that intermingles in everything. And each time we look and give appreciation to a flower, it lasts longer. And you've seen happen where you put a flower near a person or a child and it'll blossom. It'll open up from a bud into a flower, almost in front of your eyes. And that's a personal interaction that's never the same. And that's just one item of trillions of items that we've got on the earth.
Yes.
So there's great scope in the advancement of the application of magic and miracles.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, just the way I see you position flowers, it changes the whole scene. Or you move a bit of furniture and it's the whole world's different. That's the industry of magic and miracles.
Yeah.
It's like, let me at it and I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah.
So that, let me at it, is what's going to grow.
Yeah.
Everybody will be saying, let me show you what I can do, not what you should do. And the greater the integration of fields, the less requirement for interference. So we have no interference heading our way.
Yeah. As you were speaking, I was remembering that time with our friends in that restaurant. I think it was our first meeting with them in Montecito, and
Yep.
there were tight buds of daffodils on the table. And then all of a sudden she said, look, they opened. And they followed us around, and we moved our table and they got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's Robert. Yeah.
It's actually more than just a person.
Yeah.
It's the great feeling of interaction between people and between their surroundings.
Yeah.
The great joy of having a meal that's more than what the meal says it is.
Yeah.
That's the magic as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that field you think is coming from something that's dead and cooked, but it's not. Character is still in everything.
Yeah.
So each time you sit in a chair, if you want people to feel good, you feel good in the chair. And when you get out of it, you feel you've left something behind. And you'll change the life of every person who sits in the chair. That's the precision in the awareness that's happening.
I can only look to this chair that I'm sitting in, that you've sat in this chair since 2014, 13, all those years. And then July last year, you said, now it's time. And so I'm sitting in the chair, David is sitting in the chair, and Genya is sitting in the chair, and we're feeling the magic.
Well,
I know that.
Yeah, it's not just the magic. You're leaving something that's unique to each one of you. It can be classed as magic, but we don't have a name or a set of words that depicts the fields that come from just you. But we have the ultimate in the measuring system of each person who somehow knows and is excited by the feeling, by the interaction. And now we're gradually making that a fact in the world, which means it's becoming a part of everyone's reality. And a new measuring system, many measuring systems are coming into play so that each one of us can respect one another and respect the ability to make a difference.
I believe that's why you opened our vista to include guests so that they can experience what it's like to be on the broadcast with us. And we're here to listen and to share and to allow their world of magic and miracles to visit ours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's much more to it as well.
Oh, tell me.
You'll find out as you go along.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a case of, it's like the growing tree or plant. It gets to a point where it's going to have more directions than just the stem.
Oh,
So it grows and it finds that it needs to do it again. And so you gradually end up with branches and leaves, and the pattern is never the same.
that's right.
So you don't even know when there's a leaf going to come up until it all of a sudden appears. And it's in a position that you can't figure out. And then another little branch comes. So as you keep going with what you're doing, it's going to grow into something just like a tree grows until it's able to support itself, and it knows what branches it needs and it finds them. And it's not until the whole thing blossoms do you see the flowers. So we can look ahead and we can look into the future, and we'll see all the possibilities, but we won't know which one's going to appear or when. That's allowing us to grow in a whole new way, without having to have a mind and thought patterns. We only work like the neurons. As something sparks, another one moves forward, and it finds a track to somewhere else. So we're stepping forward and backwards and sideways and upside down and floating through air. And all of a sudden, we're making something. We're making something called life. And you become an expert at some parts of that. But most of all, you become a connoisseur of life itself. You look at it, you enjoy it. You trace the new parts, and you are dumbfounded by what turns up. And life itself has no patterns. Mm-hmm. So the more we play with the field that's actually more than magic and miracles, the more we'll find what blossoms is a miracle.
Yeah.
So you put the magic to wherever it's got to go and watch the miracles blossom.
I keep marveling at the fact that living with you every day is brand new. It's like a brand new blossom that we didn't know where it was coming from. And what you've just said is just beautiful and so easy to picture. I just feel that I'm not speaking from me. I'm picking up from everybody listening to you at this moment. It's just life itself.
Yeah.
Life itself.
And the beauty of what you see in everyone can be seen without having any conditions.
Yeah.
I've never been able to look at somebody and say what clothes they're wearing even.
Mm-hmm. I know that.
And I see everything around them and all the neon signs that are saying this is what I am.
Yeah.
And some you just shake your head at and say, if you turn that neon light out, we can see you properly.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
That's a quiet insight into what I see in people and I see around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, everybody will be able to do that and more.
Mhm.
And it's not going to take a long training. It's just, oh, I can just step there.
Mhm.
It's when that realization turns up, there's a new branch or a flower.
You're reminding me of something we've been doing recently, and that's pruning back these bushes that are just growing uh, very quickly. And yesterday I had the joy of clipping back a lot of these wild guys that are just growing so quickly. And you have those wonderful cutters. And all of a sudden I realized what I was doing. I was revealing this tiny jade plant that I noticed years ago had turned into a jade tree. And then all of a sudden I knew what I was clearing. I didn't know at first. And that was very exciting. And it was right here on our property. So
Yeah,
you never know.
there's a lot of mystery.
Yeah.
But it's all good stuff.
And we also share in the joy of each other's discoveries and miracles. And it's important to speak about them and to share them and be excited. And yeah, too many people are having their neon signs getting in the way. That's another picture you just gave us. Yeah.
Well, I don't have much more to say on that subject, but I know you've got things you want to talk about.
Not really.
Not really?
Not really.
Hold away.
You created such an amazing, beautiful place for us all to feel together. You brought everyone together, as you always do.
And there's more.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where we can look ahead, or we can just step ahead, or step sideways, or wave our hands, or just nod and smile. Any little action or inflection will actually keep the ball bouncing.
Yeah.
And maintain the movement in a random fashion that's necessary to keep our engine running.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now we join together
Yeah.
in wishing everyone a most perfect life, perfect health, and a very magic future.
Thank you.